Good evening, everybody, or afternoon if you're in Australia. It's my pleasure today to be with author extraordinaire and so many more things than that, Nicole McLellan from Vancouver, Canada. Hey, Nicole.
Hi.
So it's evening over in Vancouver. It's afternoon in Australia. And today we're going to have a chat about her book writing journey, where she was, what happened in that journey, and where it's taken her now, because what is it now, 6 months after you launched the book?
Yeah, pretty much. 7.
Yep, 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
And there's some amazing things that have been happening for Nicole in her business and with her startup charity project, and excited to hear all about that today. Oh, no.
Hello?
You back?
Yeah.
Sorry. I just texted you.
Oh, okay.
Let's keep rolling. I can chop it up and stuff. Okay. Let's just have a chat. So when before you wrote your book, where were you in your life? What was going on? What was happening in what were you doing, and where were you at before this whole journey started?
Yeah, so I had just previously left my full-time permanent teaching career, which was in northern Alberta, and I had been teaching junior high and high school for a little over 3 years. And I had left my classroom with the mindset that I would take a year off from teaching and see where that would lead me. And that's sort of how I got to Australia. And when I did make my way to Australia, it just seemed that I was really missing the experience of what it was that I was getting from teenagers and what I was giving to them. But I knew that I did not want to stay teaching. There had to be like another way that I could be working with teens. And so while I was in Australia, I was kind of just, taking that gap year and relaxing and having all of this time and space for creativity. And it sort of just really dropped into me of like this message that I can work with teens and parents of teens and educators with teens on a much like broader scope. And then the idea came to me to write my book and to just share like my real raw and truthful experiences of what it's like to be in a classroom, and especially a classroom with teenagers in a northern isolated community. And yeah, so that's sort of where I was at, just hanging out, living the easy life on the beach of the Gold Coast. And then the idea of the book manifested itself, and I started to go from there.
Awesome. And the thing I hear in that is that you were off doing your thing, teaching, and then almost like the call for the next level came in.
Yeah, absolutely. I had just finished reading Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass, and I closed the last page of that book, and that was in April of 2016, so 2 years ago. And exactly this time 2 years ago. And I decided like I have to resign, even though there was so much risk in that, leaving like the safety and the security and everything that I knew. I knew that there's something bigger out there, and it might be a really hard road in the meantime, which it has not been the easiest, but I know it's right.
That's awesome. And I admire the bravery that it took to step away from saying like, hey, this is great what I'm doing, but I want more.
I want to affect more. Like there's only me in one classroom of 30 teens, and I want to be able to impact hundreds, thousands, and I can't do that inside one classroom. So I've got to find a way to get myself out there on a broader scope.
Absolutely. And maybe you can share at this point about, because I know you were telling me when you were up in northern Alberta, like your experiences up there really like it was those stories that needed to be told. That was the big part of the message. So maybe you could speak a little about that experience and what that
Yeah, I I guess what I just really found was that a lot of the teens that I was working with um, were coming from experiences where travel wasn't really an opportunity, so a broader cultural understanding was really lacking there.
Mm,
Um, Also, yeah, I guess being in a small town, um, there's always that like small town mentality that comes with students from home to their school. And it was just sort of this experience of, yes, I was still in a public school system and still having to follow the like the curriculums that are designed by the government, but realizing that I had this approach that like inherently was coming through me from my yoga teacher background, and I really want to bring that into my classroom.
mm,
But it was very um, unwelcomed, I think, in that there are a lot of strong religious backgrounds in various communities throughout Canada, throughout the world. And where I happened to be, the school board I was in, not my school necessarily, but my school board, like in some places, like yoga was not necessarily allowed to be brought into the classroom.
mm,
So what I had to do was um, sort of make my own rules. And
mm,
I did, and I had really great results. And I was staying at the school and staying on weekends and letting kids have like this open door policy where they could come into my classroom and tell me anything,
mm.
and do the meditation and do the yoga, even though it wasn't part of the 40-minute math block, but still doing that anyway.
Mm. That's so awesome. And is that where, because you went in there with your own style, your own flavor, and started to do what you was just coming through for you to give to these kids, is that where the title of your book came from? I did something different and it worked?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like trying to figure out, okay, so I was having really great feedback from parents, wanting to know why their kid was wanting to stay with me till 6 p.m. after school, and what was going on, that like they were genuinely interested in the work that they were doing. And then even so I'm in Australia and I'm still having all my old students like writing me on various social media platforms and
Mm,
through email and such, and thinking like, what is it about my teaching style or experience that seems to be so like different? And yes, every teacher is different, and that is
mm,
good. You want to
mm,
be like unique and original in your experience, but I could tell from comments and feedback that there was something different about my approach and that it worked.
mm,
And so originally the idea for my book was going to be the Zen curriculum.
mm,
um, but it shifted to be more of like, this is it. The person that I want to read my book is that new teacher or the parent of a teenager or the coach or the mentor, or just anybody who's working with our up and coming youth. Like, take your creativity, take what it is that
mm,
makes you unique, that makes you different,
mm,
and do that and see
mm,
the results that you get.
mm. Such a good message. And I love that it's very different to what gets told in mainstream schooling, right?
Mm-hmm. It's what's very different than what gets told to teachers who are just graduating their BEd program.
Mm,
You're told like, this is how you should show up in your classroom, this is what you should do, and this is what you shouldn't do. And
mm,
I think like, throw those rules out the door
mm,
and walk into the classroom as you, the person that you are,
mm.
because teenagers especially, they're going to sniff that out in 2 seconds. If you're
Yeah.
being fake or being ingenuine,
Mm.
you're in for a rough 180 days ahead of you.
Right. And I love that you wrote your book from a place of not only wanting to help the kids, but also those teachers that are going into some of those environments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm. Awesome, awesome. So you had this experience in Northern Alberta that taught you that you've got something special to share. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of people out there that do have something special to share, but they never cross the bridge to actually taking action on it. So, and actually
Mm-hmm.
perhaps putting it in a book or doing something with it. Now, you've got the book, you've now got the On Work project and a lot of other things that are happening for you. How did you cross that bridge to actually taking action on it?
I think there just comes a point where you listen to your gut, you listen to your instincts. It was like screaming at me from the inside, like, you've got to just get this message out there. So I've always been a journaler, somebody who writes things down. And it just came to the point where it's like, why am I keeping this in when there's so much value in letting it out? And obviously there's a lot of fear around that, like, vulnerability of sharing your message with the potential world to hear it or read it. But I think, like, if you want any sort of reward, there's got to be that risk first. And I know what I'm after, and I think it's just, yeah, it's been a lot of like self-development work that I've done on my own. Like, once again, that's not something you get in your BEd program as you come to be a teacher. It was the experiences I got from taking my yoga teacher training, this like continuous path of self, like, who are you and who do you want to represent yourself to the world? And just once you start to listen to that voice, you can't ignore it, and it gets louder and louder and louder. And it's like, okay, the voice in me wants the world to know that, like, this is what I'm up to.
So it was almost bursting out of you as you continued to grow.
Yeah. And it was like, at first it was the book, and then things that have just unfolded from the book. Like, the book has just been a catalyst for teen talks and the On Work project, and these other like amazing experiences that I've had since.
So let's talk a little bit about those, because I know when you we were chatting about your first teen talk, and then you just let it out, and then, like, next thing you know, thousands of or tens of thousands of people are watching the teen talks. Maybe you can speak a little about the things that have unfolded from the book for you.
Yeah, so I left the book retreat on June 5th. June 6th, sitting on the balcony in Australia at my friend's house, I thought, oh, maybe I'll just make this video. Like, I want to start to hype up what it is that my book is going to be about, and it's about influencing teens. So, I've never been one to like hop on a video, but I thought I'll just take this 3-minute video and call it Teen Talks and see what happens. And next thing I know, there was 120 shares and like 100,000 views, and it just like, it blew up. People are wanting to know how to reach our youth. They want to know, teens want to ask those questions anonymously that they don't want to ask their parents or their siblings or their coaches or their teachers. So I am that outlet. Like, I've started to just become this like anonymous advocate for youth. And the feedback has come from parents like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize like this is what my daughter is asking for. I didn't realize like this is the experience my son is having. And it's like, of course you don't, because you're not a millennial teen. And millennial teens are completely different than when I was a teenager, or you were a teenager. So I think that I do have this gift of relating to teenagers on like a really equal playing field. And so I'm just trying to help them get their message out and help them be heard and seen. So that's where Teen Talks came from. And it just kept up with that like sort of weekly video series, and it just, kept growing and growing. And so that was on June 6th. I posted that first video. June 8th, 2 days later, I had to leave and come back to North America. And that was like a last minute decision. And when I got back, I was just sort of feeling like, okay, now what? I've got the world is my oyster. I can set up home wherever I want to be. I had no desire yet to hop back into the classroom. So it was like, where do I want this book to take me? And the idea started to come to me that, okay, there'll be some sort of profit from the book, like might not be huge to begin with, but there's got to be a way I can take that money and continue to evolve to do something that gives back and helps out. And once again, it comes back to my yoga practice. I'm roll out my mat and I'm doing this meditation, and I'm just trying to think of like, how can I best, do this like karma effect. And then this idea drops through me to create a nonprofit and call it the Homework Project, with a play on homework.
Yes, I love
Keeping
that
school theme. And it was like one little idea, and that has just like, it's blown up. So it's now a registered nonprofit. I've got an entire board of directors that works with me. We are hosting our first like massive event on May 5th. It's called Ignite. We've been getting people donating to our like PayPal account and Interact e-transfer, and sending us checks, and just like really believing in what we're doing. And we're aiming to choose our first set of applicants later on in 2018. So that's been really exciting. We've got our own sweaters now.
So
my
cool.
own girls. I was able to go down to the Ellen show in California and leave her my book, and write a message in my book about the Homework Project. And I just did a talk this past week at the University of Victoria. So I'm here in Victoria, not Vancouver. And they've got a B.Ed program here. So speaking to the teachers the students who are just about to graduate and become teachers. And just sharing with them that like, you might have this vision of stepping in the classroom, and that's amazing. But keep in mind that if you know that you want to work with teens on a different level, like your teaching degree isn't going to be like null and void. It can carry you to writing a book and running a nonprofit and living this lifestyle by design that you want, and still affecting our youth in like a really positive way.
Wow, that's an awesome message for teachers to hear, because sometimes they might only see this is the way I can live my life and not the other way. So I think you're a real leader in that.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit more about like the Homework Project? So exciting. Can you tell me like what's its purpose? Like what does it do for people?
Yeah, so our mission is to send as many girls as possible, anyone identifying as female, to a yoga teacher training program, 200 hours of their choice anywhere in the world. With that, we will be covering the cost of their airfare, their accommodation, their food, their tuition, their books, setting them up with their tourist visa for that country, and ensuring that they're in a safe and reputable school. We have created a mentorship program so that when these girls come back, they are then mentored by myself and the 4 other women who are on my team. And the whole idea is to create this ripple effect. So my thought was, once again, if I'm one teacher in a class of 30 students, I can only affect those 30 students. But if now I can reach hundreds of girls, and then they come back from yoga teacher training and they reach hundreds of girls, and we create this like global tribe of women who are helping other women believe that your self-value and your self-worth are priority. Taking away the societal pressure that post-secondary doesn't have to happen right after high school. Maybe it doesn't have to happen at all, but certainly at 18, you don't have to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life or who you want to be. So why not give them the experience to travel? Because I believe that's the best education. Why not give them the opportunity to do yoga teacher training without the expectation that they have to be a yoga teacher? That's not what we expect. I know hundreds of people who've done their yoga teacher training and don't teach yoga. They do it for the self-development. It's like, if there is the best program that you can go to find your self-worth, it's a registered yoga program. So we're creating that. So our applicants can apply on our website, which is just thehomeworkproject.com. There it tells you all about us, myself and my team, our mission, how to donate to us, how to reach out to the girls. We're just starting a blog series where the girls that we take on a mentor will be blogging about their experience away at yoga teacher training school. and then, yeah, and now what are they doing in their community? So it's not even that we are waiting to like task them to do something. We know that when they come back, they'll be so driven to want to give back that we just can't wait to see what unfolds. So, and we just today, right before this call started, launched our first video, which was gifted to us for free, which is incredible. If anybody knows how expensive it is to have a like real deal videography team work with you. We were gifted that as they choose one nonprofit organization to donate this video to, and they picked us. So that was really incredible.
So that's a promo video for
it's a promo video for the Homework Project that we can send all around the world. So now, because I can't be in Australia and Canada and the US and all these places at once, but my video can be. So this message can go to businesses and schools and teachers and girls that want to apply. So like I said, we're keeping the application open to female identifying applicants between the ages of 18 and 24.
Amazing. I love how fast it's happened for you. Like piece by piece, it just dropped in, and you know, it's been a couple of months since we've chatted and all this has happened in that time.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Very, very
I feel like, you know, when people say be careful what you wish for, it's so true. If you really focus your attention and energy on something that you want, it is placed in front of you. And I think it's just keeping your eyes open for, did you ask for that? Most likely. Yeah.
And on the Homework project, like moving forward from today, like what's your vision for that? Like if there's people watching this who want to support you, obviously they'll get involved. They've got the website there, but where do you want this to go?
We want it to go global. So we want it to just be a like international program where, once again, myself, the 5 girls, and eventually the girls that we continue to take on with us, we want it to be like a global mentoring program where if there are girls in Australia that want to become a part of this, well, we can go there to them and we can pick them up in the mentorship program, take them to yoga teacher training school, wherever they want to go, and then bring them back and continue to help them now reach their dreams. So it's like creating this sort of like sisterhood mentality, or this like somebody's got your back feel. So that's where we see it, just really up leveling the consciousness of young women.
That's amazing. So good. And Nicole, there might be people watching this who are like, they can resonate with where you were at a year or so ago with, they've got something to share. They're actually thinking about doing a book. What would your advice be to them? What would you say to them?
What are you waiting for? Yeah, what are you waiting for? Like, if anybody has read Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic, she talks about if you've got an idea, it's because it has been sent to you. And if you don't take action on it, you will soon hear somebody else talk about it and you'll say, oh, that's what I was going to do, or I was going to say that, or that's the business I was going to have. And it's because that's how this world works. We're around all of this energy, and all of these ideas are floating around, and they're waiting for somebody to pick them up. And it's not coincidence that something comes to you, and you've got a time frame, and if you don't act on it, somebody else will have it, and then you will be that person saying like, that was my idea, or I should have done that. So if not now, when is sort of the outlook that I take. And I also believe that, you know, people have these limiting beliefs or factors. You know, I don't have the money, or I don't have the time. When you say things like that, you're not creating it as your priority. So when somebody says, oh, I haven't had time for that, no, you haven't made it a priority. So you obviously aren't super passionate about it. So what are you passionate about? You will find the time, you will find the money. I mean, I'm a perfect example of that with this.
Made it happen, right?
Yeah, you just make it happen. I mean, I didn't have tons of money in my bank account backpacking around Australia, but when this opportunity presented itself, it was just like, I had to take it. And had to do whatever it meant to get there.
Mm-hmm. Such great hustle. I love the directness. Can you share just a little bit about, because, you know, there's lots of different, like, in terms of like, so there might be people watching who are like, great, I know I need to do this now. What was it like what attracted you to the Inspirational Book Writers Retreat? What was it about it that resonated with you?
I think there were a few things for me. The big thing, I would say the big thing for me was the atmosphere that I knew I was going to be going into that was going to absolutely foster creativity. So it's one thing to go away on an all-inclusive vacation or go away on a cruise, but knowing that I was going to an environment of like serenity and solitude. So it was going to be quiet, peaceful. I wasn't going to have to worry about you know, just sort of these like outside factors. I was going to be tended to and cared to with like the utmost attention. So knowing that my meals were going to be made for me, my bath was going to be run for me if I wanted it. That sort of, yeah, that really like nurturing environment was probably the most appealing, because the idea of writing your book in a week, if I was to do that at home, I'd bake some cookies and I'd throw in a little laundry and I'd leave and go do this, but you can't do that when you're in this like offset environment on this little island. So that was probably the big piece for me. The second thing was knowing that it was really small and like inclusive. So I knew that for each one of us who was writing a book, there was also like a coach sort of mentor to work with us, and not that I was only going to get the experience of one person that whole week, but that it was going to be that equal playing field. I wouldn't have to fight for the attention of, can you help me write this? Or I'm getting off track, or I just need to cry and vent and, you know, release those emotions that you go through when you write a book, when you put your experience out there for the world. So I think that support system, and being invited into the Spiritcast network and just seeing like, okay, everybody else had a totally kick-ass experience. Why would mine be anything less? So meeting all these people through that network, that's like, hey, I went there and wrote my book and now I'm off doing this. And nobody's come back and been like, well, that sucked.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the big pieces for me.
Awesome. So Nicole, the promo video goes live, or it's already live today. Where can people see that?
They can see that by going to the website, and the link to the Vimeo page will be on there. So if they just go to thehomeworkproject.com, it'll be on there. And yeah, our plan is to be making our way to schools around the world, getting the ideas like get my book into schools around the world, into BED schools around the world, so programs where people are training to become teachers. With that, use the book as the tool or the resource to help the catalyst for them to like really spark exciting things in their classroom. And then with that, the book sales pump into the Homework Project. So the Homework Project can always continue to be a thing with the book, but then the Homework team and myself just see us like, we know we're going to be traveling around the world and picking up young girls as we go and taking them with us and creating this network that every young woman is going to want to be a part of.
Super, super cool. Well, that's the place for people to go, yeah? thehomeworkproject.com. Is there any final words that you'd like to share?
Just if there are other teachers out there or teenagers or parents of teens or anything like that, if the Homework Project doesn't necessarily appeal to them, and maybe more it's the teen talks or the message that's in my book, then they can always just go to my website to find that. And that's just my name, just nmclellan.com. And on there, those teen talks I think can be quite valuable for anyone who is working with a teen, relates to a teen, is a teen.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So nmclellan.com, and your books are also on Amazon.
Yep.
Yep. Books, as if there's more. There probably will be.
There will be. Right now, there's just the book. I'm in the process of creating the Zen curriculum, which is the actual manual that goes to teachers in classrooms.
Amazing. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's amazing what you've done, and I'm so stoked for you with everything that you've built. So congratulations on that, and yeah, big fist pump for the future for you.
Oh, I do want to say one more thing.
Yes, go.
If anybody knows Ellen DeGeneres, I can share this message with her. I swear I write her weekly, but maybe somebody watching this knows her. So I just want Ellen to know about the Omar Project.
Great. Mm-hmm. All right, Nicole. Well, thank you so much. Take good care, and we will see you very soon.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Cheers.